Have you ever felt like something in your life is off? Like the pieces just don't fit, and you're struggling to make sense of it all? It's not random. It's a sign that the world is built on tensions and contradictions. These aren't accidents. They're the very foundation of reality. Harmony requires dissonance. Light exists because of shadow. For centuries, we've tried to simplify the world by splitting it into good and evil, light and dark, spirit and matter. But maybe the truth isn't so black and white. Maybe dualism isn't just real. It's the key to understanding everything around us. This idea has been on my mind for a long time. Let me walk you through everything I've discovered, step by step. The Bible, especially the Old Testament, shows God as the source of both light and darkness. In Isaiah 45:7, God says, "I form light and create darkness, bring prosperity and create disaster." This portrays God as both a creator and a destroyer. Over time, Christianity softened this duality by blaming evil on Satan, removing it from God's nature. Plus, the feminine aspect of divinity, represented by Sophia, the symbol of wisdom and intuition, was gradually forgotten. As a result, the image of God became one-sided and incomplete. Sophia stood for wisdom, intuition, and creativity, key parts of the divine nature. And it's not just about me being a woman. Sophia was a woman. What I'm emphasizing here is completeness, which I'll explain further. Eventually, the Church pushed aside traits traditionally associated with femininity: intuition, wisdom, and creativity. This led to a portrayal of God that was one-dimensional, focusing on logic and order. But true understanding requires a balance between what we consider masculine and feminine traits. Sophia reminds us of this other side, which is essential for a deeper grasp of the world. The Gnostics developed the idea of the Demiurge, an imperfect creator of the material world. To them, matter was flawed, yet contained a divine spark, a potential for awakening. Gnosis, or deep knowledge, involved going through a crisis. The symbolic death of the ego was a path toward rebirth and higher consciousness. This transformation wasn't about escaping the world, but about understanding it. The dualism of life and death, and chaos, and shadow is crucial here. It opens the way to spiritual life and deeper insight. Carl Jung took this further. He believed that a person can't be whole without integrating their shadow, the part we repress because it clashes with our ideal self-image. He said, "Man does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Jung underscored that darkness isn't an enemy, but a part of ourselves we need to understand in order to find balance. This message from depth psychology aligns with the Gnostics' belief that to discover truth, we must reconcile our own contradictions. It's like a symbolic death, the shedding of illusions and false self-images. Jung emphasized that integrating the shadow means confronting hidden impulses, understanding them, transforming them. It doesn't mean accepting evil. It's an act of internal alchemy, a merging of opposites that leads to rebirth and spiritual wholeness. Jung also introduced the concept of syzygy, the masculine and feminine archetypes, like the animus and anima, which exist in everyone. Their integration symbolizes the internal reconciliation of opposites. He also talked about enantiodromia, the principle that every extreme eventually summons its opposite. So true harmony comes only by reconciling these polarities. Another key idea is the conjunctio oppositorum, an alchemical process of uniting what is separated, symbolizing spiritual transformation. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke about overcoming internal contradictions as a path to spiritual growth. His concept of amor fati, love of fate, involved accepting both light and shadow as inseparable parts of life. Soren Kierkegaard, the father of existentialism, pointed out that humans live in tension between the finite and the infinite. Only by reconciling these opposites can one achieve authenticity. William James, one of the founders of psychology, argued for reconciling rationalism and mysticism. He observed that spiritual and intellectual experiences must coexist if a person is to grasp the fullness of reality. I completely agree. Modern psychologist Viktor Frankl took this further, suggesting that life's meaning often emerges from suffering and confronting challenges. Difficulties help individuals uncover a deeper harmony. Across history, there have been eras guided more by the heart or by the mind, like Romanticism versus the Enlightenment. True understanding calls for blending both approaches, the dualism of heart and mind, and logic, contradictory but complementary. Only by using both can we reach a more complete understanding of truth. Perhaps our time is drawing near. All these perspectives highlight that dualism isn't a flaw, but a structure that makes growth and transcendence possible. Hegel's triad, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, underscores the importance of development through the clash and reconciliation of opposites. Hegel viewed progress as a never-ending dialogue where contradictions meet to form a higher unity. In the context of the dualism between light and shadow, his theory implies that truth isn't found on one side or the other, but in their merging. This dynamic tension drives the evolution of consciousness and our search for meaning. The alchemical idea of transforming lead into gold serves as a metaphor for spiritual growth, the union of the lower and higher aspects of human nature, culminating in wholeness, the lapis philosophorum. In Hinduism, the deity Shiva encompasses both destruction and creation, illustrating the cyclical nature of life and death. Destruction paves the way for renewal. A similar dualism appears in quantum physics. Light is both a wave and a particle. Particles are in superposition, occupying multiple states at once, until observation collapses them into a single form. Physicist John Wheeler spoke of a participatory universe, where observation not only reveals reality, but actually helps create it. This idea echoes the Gnostic notion that the world is incomplete and awaits our understanding to take shape. Chaos theory also reveals a deep dualism in the physical world. What seems like total disorder contains an underlying harmony based on extreme sensitivity to initial conditions. Phenomena like the butterfly effect show how minor variations can lead to significant outcomes, illustrating the subtle balance between predictability and unpredictability. Chaos isn't the absence of order, but its complement. Both coexist in a dynamic dance that propels the universe's evolution. Modern physics takes this even further. String theory suggests that matter and energy might be vibrations of multidimensional strings, fundamentally uniting opposites. In cosmology, the theory of inflation and the multiverse concept propose that multiple versions of reality may exist simultaneously. It seems that contemporary physics not only acknowledges dualism, but posits that contradictions are integral to a deeper, as yet unfathomed unity in the universe. So why do we find dualism so hard to accept? I recall how students often struggle with the idea that something can be both a wave and a particle. It shows our world isn't black and white. There are phenomena that may appear contradictory, yet also complement each other, and their coexistence is not a mistake, but the bedrock of reality. As the Gospel of Thomas in Logion 22 says, "When you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, then you will enter the kingdom." To me, that sums up the core message. To understand the world, we must reconcile what looks like contradiction. This not only allows us to see reality more deeply, but also to recognize our own role in this harmony of opposites. Stay curious, stay hyper-focused, and let's keep questioning everything together. Don't forget, subscribe, share your most mind-boggling thoughts, and seriously, what topic should I dive into next?